And just coming to a realization where I was like, oh my gosh, my purpose this is not my calling. It's not. And being close to God during that time of COVID where everything was shut down, I promise you, I think I worked out. I ran 6 miles every single day in that process of just like talking to God, like, God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?
Hey guys, welcome to That's Gold podcast with your host, Grow with Gonz. Today on the show, I have Irene Chin, one of my great friends, who's gonna talk to us a little bit about what it means to be able to let go of old versions of yourself and see what you truly want and just go after it full force. Her story is extremely inspirational. We're gonna start this off, first episode, okay. So let's pray. Ready?
You're gonna pray for me.
Now, dear God, we just want to come to you right now in this moment, and we want to thank you. Thank you for, just giving us the ability right now to just be in your presence, Lord. Today, we want to thank you for letting us do our first podcast together. In your name we pray.
Amen. We got this. Let's do it.
We got this. All right. A little bit. So, I want you to talk a little bit about how it all started and, before you got into training, before you started your business, before, all that happened. Kind of give the audience an idea of your upbringing and, where we're at today.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast today.
Yeah.
So my story is a little interesting. I grew up as an only child. Mm-hmm. My parents both came from Korea, so the traditional way of growing up was very different from the American tradition. Being an only child was really difficult for me. I don't know about other only children out there. They might have lived the best life, but I was a very lonely girl. Like, I'm talking playing with imaginary friends, and it was just a very difficult moment in my life. Mm-hmm. But I was very blessed to have parents that loved me and took care of me and raised me to be the woman I am today. So thank you, parents.
Beautiful.
I went to college and did all that shebang, got my degree in something that I absolutely did not use. So I got my degree in public relations because I thought I wanted to be a publicist and work in PR, but that was not the case. I ended up working in the entertainment industry straight out of college, and I was working as a production assistant, working with a lot of commercials, music videos, a couple TV shows. So draining. It was a beautiful experience. I got to network. I got to meet amazing people, but my mental health was spiraling. I'm talking drinking alcohol every weekend, working 12 to 18-hour days on set, living in LA. It was cool being a 22-year-old girl living in the LA. It was a dream, but little did I know that my mental health was absolutely spiraling. And
wow.
Right when that happened, COVID happened in 2020, I think it was. Then that lockdown happened, lost my job. And I was a freelancer, but at that time, everything was shut down. And then I found, I was close to God before that previously, but it was always kind of in and out. When COVID hit, I found him, and I was like, Jesus Lord, what do I do with my life? Because I'm literally crying every day. I don't know what to do. Fast forward, all the money that I saved up from the entertainment industry, I literally just put it into the most life-risking thing and took a leap of faith and moved out to the OC because I felt that God was calling me to become a personal trainer. And I was because I felt that I wanted to really help people. I didn't know where, when, what, how, but I did it, and I came to Self-Made in, Orange County, and then I started my journey there, built my business from ground up, lived in my own apartment with a roommate for the first time.
Wow.
It was absolutely scary. YouTube University was my best friend. It was intense, but every single day I put my head down and I just started grinding, and then here I am today. 3 years later.
3 years later.
Yeah.
And, man, since you put your head down and you started grinding, tell me a little bit about, the accomplishments that you feel you've been able to make since then,
Well, going from a very disastrous mental headspace, meaning drinking every day. Like, I felt like I was drinking almost every day. And then just coming to a realization where I was like, oh my gosh, my purpose is, this is not my calling. It's not. And being close to God during that time of COVID where everything was shut down, I promise you, I think I worked out. I ran 6 miles every single day in that process of just like talking to God, like, God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? It was a beautiful process and a beautiful transition, but it was terrifying. I had no idea what I was doing. I literally just put on my poker face and pretended, and there was so many moments where I would go home and cry and be like, what am I doing with my life? But it feels great because I built something from ground up on my own, and in the process of it, I was helping people, transforming other women's mental health and their physical health, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all the above. And I felt like I wasn't working. I was literally just doing what I love, and I felt like that was my purpose. I do have another purpose later on in life, but this was my stepping stone for sure.
Wow. Okay, so I want to kind of dive a little deeper into that. You know, I want to really get a clarification. You know, I think going through those metamorphoses and kind of seeing like where your life was and where it got to, we do kind of start realizing a lot about ourselves and our identity. But you know, tell me a little bit more about, you know, what you felt. Maybe did you know what your purpose was back in the day, you know, in the LA scene, or do you feel like you know now more what it is clearly?
When I was in LA, to be honest, all I could think about was fame. I want to work with the producers. I want to work with movies and celebrities, and that was my like, when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, I was like, that's what I want to do. And then over time, I was like, that serves me nothing. It serves me no joy, nothing at all. So I would say this year was my biggest breakthrough year, due to a bunch of different experiences that I've been through that we may dive into a little later. But I felt my purpose as I started training others. And when my clients would make the progress and the excitement and the happiness, the gratitude that they show me, I'm like, oh, it just made me feel like, oh my gosh, like I'm helping save other people's lives, their movement in their body, all of that. I still feel like I'm searching for my true purpose and calling, and I think that will never fade. You're always going to be looking for what your purpose and calling is, because it can change as you go and grow and get older. But the process of finding your purpose, I think the beauty of that journey is the best part, and I'm currently in it right now. So right now I am a personal trainer. My end goal is to be a life coach, but in order to become a life coach, I must go through everything that's difficult, the pain, the suffering. If we don't go through the pain and suffering, how are we able to help others? Because we would just be quote unquote perfect. But when we go through that pain and suffering, we'll be able to use our, experiences to help others in need that may lack that experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that just want to like navigate those waters because you've already, you know, navigated them.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's beautiful. And, you know, going kind of towards that life coaching thing is right now being a trainer and compared to the past, you know, do you feel like your old job working in LA, did it ever kind of give you the ability to kind of like help coach people or help them, you know, grow into, you know, better versions of themselves?
Not at all.
Really?
You mean in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, in the entertainment industry.
In the entertainment industry, it was competition everywhere. It was like, who's better? Who's this? Who's like, it was so, don't get me wrong. I love the industry. I learned a lot networking and building relationships with the people. I believe God put me through that transition so I can learn how to, like speak and communicate and listen thoroughly with people that are constantly on the go. Learning how to attend to people. Like, it was a really hectic industry. For any of you that work in the industry, you guys all know what I'm talking about. But it was definitely like really intense. I felt during that time I did not know my purpose. Like I said, all I wanted was working. I wanted to be behind the scenes of all those crazy Marvel movies and be like, oh, I made that movie. But at the end of the day, what does that serve me? What does that serve God? What does that serve the people around me? Because deep down in my heart, my true passion is to help others. And they would say, like, oh, when people are sad or whatever, they go to watch a movie, so that's helping others. But I couldn't feel it. There was no fire or passion in my heart. So that's why I literally, after COVID, I just had to get up and leave. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And it was the scariest decision of my life. Like, imagine moving to the OC, one of the most expensive places in California. I don't know. I had maybe like $5,000 to my name, and I was looking for a roommate, found one, and I just dropped the bomb, and I was like, okay, let me walk into this private facility gym and just ask if I can get a job here. And somehow,
I was there that day, by the way.
Yeah. And somehow I think my networking skills that I've learned in the entertainment industry and the way that I can build relationships with people, with Tomas, if you're listening, Tomas, it's all because of you. He just
18.
Yeah, he just really gave me the opportunity, and I was so real and raw. I was like, Tomas, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm so scared. I was like, he's like, you got this. Just go study, go learn, and just bring your best shot. And then down the line comes, and somehow, I think it was like within 6 months, I had 25 clients, 15 wait lists, and in my brain, I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I doing this? I'm really doing it. And then here we are today.
Yep, I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, currently I'm obviously hosting this podcast. I also have a media company, but my prior life was being a personal trainer, and we trained at the same gym. Now, the day she walked in, I remember just being like, who is this girl? There's something about her energy that is just different. You know, it was very vibrant, as you guys can tell right now. And I remember hearing this conversation because Tomas at the time, I was one of Tomas's right-hand guys. He had like 3 or 4 of us. And he pulls me in. He's like, hey, Gonz, I want you to meet Irene. And you could tell Irene's like, hey, nice to meet you. I don't know what I'm doing. And
I really did not know what the heck I was doing.
I was like, well, you know, we're baby steps, one step at a time. And but something about that moment, and again, your energy and like what you brought to the table and your ability to communicate and being like, you weren't a fake it till you make it type of person. You were like, I'm going to come at you like raw 100%. And, you know, the more transparent I am, like maybe I could actually get some solutions. So we all respected that immediately.
And you guys, on that note, I really want you guys to know that if there is something in your life that you want to do, you need to go do it, because you literally have one life. What is stopping you from going and learning the piano or going and that dream job that you want or building that business? Do it, because I promise you tomorrow's not promised. And that I live by that every single day. Like, I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, a gift. God gifted me another day to be better, another chance to breathe and become a better person. So if you're working like a job that you hate so much, game plan. Think of what you love so much and like go do it, because why not? Like, you can do whatever you want in this life. You might as well go do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And to kind of like touch base on that, I believe that people have a lot of blockage when it comes to doing what they want, and a lot of that can stem from childhood trauma, or, you know, unhealed triggers and traumas that kind of stemmed from whether it was relationships, family, you know, generational curse, whatever it may be. I feel like people need to really understand the definition of healing inwards and healing that inner child, because people don't realize and recognize that their brain is programmed by the way that they were raised.
Yep.
That is something I learned this year, and I'm mind blown every single day. I'm like, holy cow, I'm the way I am because of X, Y, and Z. But as I'm working on it, I got myself a therapist, and I'm working through these emotions and feelings and all of these things. Everything's clicking. Light bulb, light bulb, light bulb.
guys, you're gonna probably want to go back in the podcast and just hear that over again, that one part, because that's gonna be the gold part in That's Gold podcast. It's so wild how our past and our childhood has programmed us to create the decision-making patterns that we have as adults today. So let's kind of unpack that right now.
All right, let's get to it.
Go through the growth journey. Like, what did you learn, and what were a couple old things that you feel were programmed into you as a child? Kind of give us a little bit of the specifics on how they occurred, what they were, and what did you do recently to essentially overcome these and, give up old patterns that didn't serve you and focus on the new ones?
Yeah, so like I said in the beginning, as a child, I grew up alone. My parents were hardworking parents. I needed to be dropped off left and right. Not on purpose, but because my parents need to work. And so as a young kid growing up, getting dropped off at different family members' houses, I think as a kid I had that abandonment, that small, like, it wasn't like abandonment, like my parents just left me. It was more so just feeling those feelings internally where I'm like, I'm always getting dropped off left and right. And as I got older, I realized that I do have abandonment issues because of that. Also on top of that, as a kid, being alone all the time, like literally 24/7, eating dinner alone. Like, my parents were just constantly working. My mom was by my side all the time and attended to me, but at the same time, as a kid, like, I didn't have cousins, I didn't have family, there was no one out here. So growing up, I always had a fear of being alone because for so long of my childhood, I was alone. And as I got older and I made friends, I attached to my friends. And I always wanted to be with my friends because it made me feel complete. And then I completely, I think at a young age, lost that independence, knowing how to be alone. And, I think kids, you don't really have to understand that yet, but it kind of ingrains you into that when you become an adult. And another thing is fear of judgment has also been another thing that kind of was ingrained in me. And to be completely honest, that's something I'm still working on till this day with my therapist, and we're trying to figure out where that came from. But the fear of judgment, I think, also comes from a place, if I can be self-aware and think about it, it's because I became a people pleaser, because now my friends were my everything. So the moment any friend didn't like me, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Like, I need to make sure that they like me because they were my safe place. And then as I got even older, I had relationships and I attached to them because now I'm like, okay, like, they make me feel so loved and cared for, like, and I attach to them. And then my anxious attachment style comes in. All of that in itself, it may not be like, crazy problems, but if you really dig deep into it, who I am as a woman today and going through therapy, the way that I perceive and handle situations, it makes me really think and go inward and be like, oh my gosh, I have all this anxiety and fear of being alone. I confused being lonely and alone with, being alone is a good thing, and I'm learning that. Being lonely is something where you don't know how to be alone, and I don't know how to be alone. So I'm in the process of working on how to be alone, learning that being in solitude is going to transform you. And I had to learn that the hard way because, like I said, when I had a best friend or boyfriend or whatever it was, I attached to them. I never ever did anything by myself, and that is so unhealthy.
Wow.
Extremely unhealthy. But now I'm in a place where I'm aware. Do I get anxiety? 100%. I will literally sit at home and be like, okay, I'm working on being alone. So yes, I know that was kind of long, but everything in my childhood really stemmed to who I am today. And the uncomfortable that I'm going through currently right now is really changing, and I can feel the transformation of the type of woman I'm going to be in the future.
Wow. So that is just, again, guys, for anybody hearing this right now that feels like they have the same, abandonment, triggers, these same feelings where you feel like you constantly need to please your friends, you constantly need to please your partner, you know, we got to really look inward and we got to figure out, where did this come from? Now, I got to tell you, you know, for all those watching right now, I bet, you know, a lot of the women listening to this right now can probably relate. And I want the guys that are going to be listening to this, that are watching this episode, know that, you know, we suffer from that as well. My personal story is probably very similar to yours, where I want to say it's almost like a 90s kids thing, where like a lot of us were like latchkey kids, where, you know, our parents would just like leave us alone. And the homes back then, like, you would just let your kids play outside and they'd come in whenever, but, you know, like, people had to make money, you know, mom and dad had to go work, and they were out there hustling, trying to give us like the best lives that we could possibly have, because their parents did the same. And they wanted to like one up that generation before that. So now we're kind of like left essentially alone. And yeah, our families, our greatest sources of love, unfortunately, aren't the people that provide for us, but it's the people, as a kid, we feel it's the people that, you know, hang out with us, that play with us, that listen. Keyword is like listening, and, you know, really just making people feel heard. And I think for both of us, it was our friends growing up. So now it's, I'm going to act in accordance, not to what my mom and dad might want me to act like. It's, I'm going to act accordingly to whatever it takes to keep my friends around. Because these are the people that listen to me. These are the people that make me feel seen and heard. So I can totally relate to you on that note.
Yeah, and it's difficult because it's trying to like find that balance and really reflect on like friendship. That's something that I'm, again, going through right now with my therapist, is not everyone is, like, you are not everyone's cup of tea. Some people might not like you, and some people might really enjoy your presence, but you have to be okay with the people that, you know, might not really like you, and you have to be able, and the only way that's possible is when you really learn how to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you are looking for validation everywhere else. The moment you love yourself and you can look in the mirror and be like, okay, I love you and you're the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life, and if someone doesn't love me, it's okay, I love me. I have a picture of baby Irene in my restroom, and every single morning I wake up and I look at her and I'm like, I'm gonna make you proud, and I love you so much, and I'm so proud of you. Every single morning. And I have to say it every single day to remind myself, it's psychological, to remind myself that you are your own superhero. And anyone else that comes into your life, that is like just a blessing. It's an extra, like, what's the word? It's an extra, like,
sprinkles on top.
Sprinkles on top. Like, it's just like, you know, and then you cherish those people because they value you and they love you for who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly, the, you know. I'm learning that right now, because like I said before, if I felt like someone didn't like me, my energy gets crushed and I'm like, why? What did I do wrong? I get anxiety, I get insecure. But as I'm going through this healing journey and learning how to love myself, I'm starting to realize, like, it's okay if someone doesn't like me, and it should be okay for anyone, you know. I think it's how you move forward in life and how you continue to be the light for other people, you know? Yeah.
Now, I want to go back to that strategy. It's, I've also used this strategy as well, where, you know, there's a picture, and I just want to know, where did you learn this strategy? Like, who kind of taught you this, and, why did you find it so effective? Like, what was that initial moment where you're like, I'm going to try this, and if it works, I'm going to, you know, like, depending on how much I feel it, right, or how well it goes, I'm going to continue doing it.
Well, it started off with therapy for sure. My therapist is amazing, by the way. She started off by like each age of my childhood that I remember the specific traumas. My first specific trauma that I remember was like when I was 5 years old. After that conversation with her, like I'm talking emotional. I was sitting there like, oh my gosh, like what is going on in my life? And I went into my photo album and I just started going through my pictures, like the ones that my parents put in like a photo book. I was looking through my pictures and I was like, oh my gosh, like this little girl, like so full of energy, so happy, so like free spirited, but over the years just damage. And that's with everyone. Everyone has a story, a pain, a suffering. And so I'm looking at this little girl, I'm like, that is my true authentic self. That is the girl that God put me on this earth for. Like that is her, you know. But then that pain and suffering and trauma of life destroys that true pure identity of who you are. And I was like, I'm gonna bring that girl back. So I chose my favorite baby picture and I looked at it and I promise I literally put it down. And what it does for me is when I look at that little girl, it reminds me of who I was and my purpose of bringing that inner child back out that's full of love and joy. And it just feels good to be able to look at little you and be like, I'm gonna make you so proud, because who else are you making proud? Yeah, everyone wants to make their mom and dad and friends and family proud, but at the end of the day, you want to make yourself proud and God proud. And that's all that matters.
Yeah, that part right there.
That's when you completely like fulfill your purpose. Like life is temporary. There is a book also on Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. I'm reading that book right now and holy cow, it is really good. So any of you that really want to figure out what your purpose in life is, read that book.
Wow.
But Rick Warren has stated how life is temporary. So this earth that you're living on, everything is so temporary. And I truly believe, I think from reading the book, all you're doing here is learning how to do life and giving your glory to God, finding what your gifts and talents are, and pursuing whatever that may be and whatever your purpose that God gave you, and just going to go do it. And it could be different for anyone. Doctors, they're supposed to go save people's lives. All in all, life is temporary, up there is eternal, and just remember that and just believe in that. And the life that you have that's so temporary, like live your best life. Go do everything that makes you so happy.
There you go.
Because why are you going to live? And I know I struggled with this. I know a lot of people struggle with it. Why are you going to sit in depression, anxiety, worry, constantly thinking about what's next, like rent, bills, this, my fighting with family, friends? Like there's so much war going on. Every person that chooses to heal and go inward and really like heal that brokenness, could you imagine how much light would be around the world? The moment you start, surrounding yourself with people that are elevating, surrounding yourself with people that may not have it all together. I don't think anyone in this world has it all together, realistically. It's just the journey of life and learning how to maneuver the pain and suffering and becoming your ultimate best, and just knowing that this is all temporary. So while you're here on this earth and you have all this beautiful nature, love, whatever it is, like enjoy it,
Yeah, we gotta enjoy it. And again, remember that, like, for us, that there is an afterlife, there is an eternity, and there is a point to this life, and the point is to do everything. Number one, enjoy the temporary life that we do have, but really I love when you pointed out how when you see that picture, that young girl, you're like, I like to look at her because I want to remember who I was. And, because you don't feel like you're that same person anymore.
Like, sorry to cut you, but do you remember when, like, can you physically remember, like, the day where you like, transitioned from being, like, a kid into, like, a kind of, like, a preteen and nothing seemed fun anymore? Like, everything that you went to, like, if you went to Disneyland or whatever it was, it just wasn't that, like, oh my God, I'm so excited. It was just super, like, yeah, it's cool. Like, you're getting kind of over that, like, excitement, Oh
my God, that happened way too soon for me, guys. I'm going to tell you exactly my moment.
Okay.
Sadly, really sad. It was first grade.
What?
It was my first day of first grade.
What?
So I remember kindergarten, we had like these nice fancy like little Disney backpacks, right? And then I had like the glow in the dark shoes that you used to get at Payless or something, right? And then I remember back to school shopping for first grade, and I was like, oh man, like it's time to get serious. And I was like, my mom's like, which backpack do you want? And I was like, she gave me two choices. They were like superhero backpacks. And I just remember thinking in my head at that moment, like, no, I'm grown now.
Yeah.
Like, give me just the plain red one.
Oh my.
I was like, no more lights on the shoes. I'm grown now.
No more
like,
lights on the shoes.
Give me those,
Vans
regular
or
looking,
Converse.
yeah, regular Converse. And for some reason, I feel like it's always happened during those moments for me where it's like graduating or like especially birthdays. Birthdays, I feel like the day of my birthday, I don't know who else feels this, but like all year you feel young and vibrant, and for whatever reason on my birthday I feel like time to grow up. Like it's time to get like 10 years older today. Like, and my mindset like really shifts hard, like extremely hard on birthdays and like big event days where it's like a graduation or something,
That's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, it really is. And I just remember just thinking like, wow, it's not that fun. But I mean, going towards the teenage years, where I felt like I couldn't really have fun being a teen. Oh, or going from kid to teen, right? Yeah, I want to say again, it was probably the first day of going to middle school. Guarantee. It was just like you hit it, you're in a new school, a new environment, now you're in intermediate school. And I was just like, like this is my chance in my head to reinvent myself.
Dang, that's like such a young age. I remember for me, I don't remember exactly how old I was. I want to say like 10, 11, 12 maybe, around there. I remember like everything I did was so fun. Like my parents would take me here and there and like going out, sleepovers, everything was so fun. I will never forget my parents took me to Legoland for the first time, and the whole time I was there I was like, what? This is so boring. Like, it's so not fun. Like, and I used to love Legos. So I was like, and then ever since that day, everything I did not seem exciting. I was like, why? Like, and then I felt like maybe I was going through my puberty. I was fighting with my mom all the time. And then school was just annoying. Everything was like, And then like being alone all the time, I was always like, oh my gosh, my life. Like I literally go to school, come home, do homework, and I'm alone. Go to school. It was the same thing over and over and over again. But
I heard this great quote the other day, and I was just like,
game over.
you're ready for that's gold right here? It was when don't just remember who you were, and don't just remember now who you are, because that's who you are. You see that picture? It's not who you were, it's who you are. But what's more important than knowing who you are is whose you are.
Ooh, wow.
Literally, right? And remembering whose you are, like you, and we lose sight of this as a teenager. We lose sight of this as when we get older. We start thinking like, oh, like I am not God's child anymore. Like I am, the person that's supposed to be serving these movie stars, or I am the trainer, or I am the media guy, or I am an influencer, I am, all these things that we wear certain hats. But we got to remember, like, these are just hats.
Yep.
Like we take off the hat and then we remember who, not only who I am, but whose I am. And that's what, when I heard that,
it was like,
I was like,
whoa, hold on.
And it really kind of just put me into this like zone of remembering, like, now that I know whose I am, I'm even more grounded to understand who I truly am. and that's someone that, again, wants to give God the glory and know that all of this, like creating this podcast studio, creating these moments right now where we're actually able to tell, stories of all the experiences we've gone through, all the suffering we've gone through. We want to help people
that are going through the same thing.
Yes.
And on that note, I just want everyone to know, whether you're a man or a woman, if you're in this, like, I don't know if you're going through it, but for me, in this
we're all going through it.
Specific healing journey and this specific breakthrough, it's really uncomfortable. It is extremely uncomfortable. You almost feel like every day you're like, what? Like, all these awarenesses and emotions surface, and you're like working with it. It's like not physical. Like, there's not something in front of you that's like, okay, you got to work on this. Everything is internal, like emotions, mental health, your heart, your mind, your body, your soul. I always like to correlate back to a butterfly. So basically, this transformation that you're going through, I want you to look at it as a caterpillar. So you are not like a caterpillar right now, and you are not yet a butterfly either. You are in that cocoon, and you don't really know exactly what life was going to be like, but you remember your old life, but you're not going to go back to your old life, and you know that this new life is coming, but you're just kind of waiting. Like cocoons, I think it takes like, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks until it becomes a butterfly. So you're really just sitting and transforming internally in that cocoon from a butterfly, and it's transforming, into this magical this magical insect, where at one point you were just crawling on the floor, and then the moment you break through and you come out of that cocoon, you are flying and living your best life. You need to get to that point. But in order to get to that point, you need to go through that inner work transformation, the cocoon, that like just staying still and working on that inner self.
Wow.
And then just that beauty after will come. You just have to really work internally. I love butterflies because like just that itself, that's why I love butterflies.
Just think about that, guys. It's like, how comfortable do you think that caterpillar is? Again, he's living his life, right? He's going through the trees, crawling through everything, and all of a sudden he's just
like
in
a cocoon.
He's in a cocoon for
I think it's 4 or 5 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting in there like turning into a butterfly.
It's just that moment of like solitude, but it's in those moments where you're totally alone. You're like within yourself.
Exactly.
God does the transforming. Like,
and could you imagine how that caterpillar feels? Like, I mean, if I was a caterpillar and I was stuck in a cocoon, like in the dark, like just like in there, like you're literally so isolated. That cocoon is not interacting with any other insect, human or whatever. It's literally just in its own world. And I think that's where that healing and that transformation, like for humans, is you really got to isolate yourself, not block out all the noise, block out all the energy, and obviously keep your relationships with the people that you care about and keep it balanced. But that isolation that you have, that's where you're transforming. Because you're gonna let go of the old and say hello to the new. It's basically like the old you is dying and you're giving birth to the new you.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yes.
I heard this quote the other day that was, the magic is in the work that you're avoiding. And
it is. Get uncomfortable, guys.
That's honestly, for me, people like us, like me and Irene, it was hard to be it's 10 times easier to do work for others and to serve others and to please people. And we would move mountains for people. But when it was time to look inwards and be like, wow, there's work that I need to do, but I can't do it with anybody. Like, I can't, no one's gonna cheer me on for this. No one's gonna push me to do this, or they're gonna help me. It's like truly work that you need to learn, number one, how to want to do it, and take that initiative and look deep inside. And sure, some people have done the work and they can kind of help you navigate it, but they can't do it for you.
Nope, you gotta do it for yourself. And it takes a lot of mental strength to get to that point, because you're going to have those days where you're in bed and you're like, I cannot get up. Like, my life is miserable. I can't. And every negative thing is running through your mind, but it takes mental strength to get up no matter what you're going through, whether you're going through a breakup, you're going through family drama, you're going through losing a job, whatever it may be. That mental strength of just getting up and telling yourself, like, it's okay, there's another day, like, I literally got blessed another day, I'm gonna do something about it. But that itself is tough, and it's okay to rest. It's okay to take time to, if you lost a loved one or whatever it may be, whatever life situation that's really traumatizing, it's okay to grieve and take a step back and recoup, but you have to get back up. My biggest thing that I learned is when you hit rock bottom, the only way out is up. Where else you can't get any further down. Like, when you hit rock bottom, that's rock bottom.
So what's the rock? Like, why can't you keep going down?
Because how much more can you go down? Where, like, when you hit that rock of like, oh my gosh, my life right now is literally at the bottom, unless you're like, God forbid you die, like you commit suicide, which we of course do not want.
Of course not.
And no, I believe that, like, by the way, if you're ever feeling like you want to commit suicide, like, reach out to people, because people care. Like, people truly care. Just reach out to someone, because I know, like, how difficult that is. I've heard a lot of stories, and it's haunting, it's sad, but it's like a true feeling, like, deep down, that you sometimes might not even can control. People can't control. It's just the way their mind spirals. So reach out to someone. But like I said, when you hit rock bottom, the only way is up. There's no way out. Like, think of like just like a hole, and there's a rock down there, and you're just like, your life just goes shoot, like, and you're here like on the floor, like, life got me. But where are you gonna go now? Like, you have to get out, you have to get up, you have to go, you have to heal. So little by little, you just create those little steps, one step at a time, and you'll keep going up. And I'm not saying that your whole life will be consistently going up. You're still going to go up and down, but that is the beauty of life. How will we learn how to be a human being? How will we learn how to do life? How will we learn anything if it wasn't for these experiences? I'm so big. If I had to go through pain and suffering again, I would do it all over again. Why? Because I'm learning from it. I took the time to be like, oh my God, this hurts so much. Let me go seek help. And as I seeked help, I realized, oh my God, there's so much in my childhood that's affecting who I am today. So if it wasn't for that pain and suffering, if my life was just perfect every single day, I would never know what was wrong with me,
Yeah.
So
it was all, fine and dandy, and you just wouldn't even care to figure it out. And I feel like, as someone, again, that I feel like I've had my own seasons in life where I've hit that rock bottom. What were your thoughts, and what kind of kept you going when, like, you felt like you're like, I'm here, like, I hit it, like, this is as low as it goes. Like, why not have those, like, suicidal thoughts? Like, what kind of prevented you from that and got you to traject back upwards?
When I hit rock bottom, the feelings, man. And again, I'm a very emotional person. I'm very, very sensitive. So when I was at rock bottom, it almost felt like I couldn't breathe. Every single day was difficult. Like, just getting up was difficult. I had to really remember that, like I said, I think every day saying, you can only go up from here, you can only go up from here. Affirmations really, really work too, by the way. Waking up, I don't care how I felt, I'm like, I'm beautiful, I'm strong, I got this, I'm courageous, I'm successful, I had to speak it into existence. But don't get me wrong, it was tough. Being at rock bottom is tough, but I really also had to remember, God will never let you stay down there as long as you fully put your trust in Him. So I'm talking, the moment I wake up till the moment I went to sleep, God was in my ear. Whether it was a sermon, whether it was worship music, whether it was Bible study, whether it was talking to a friend about God, I had to really dig deep into God's word and go search for all the different people that went through what I went through and see how God blessed them, see what God did to work in them. And I literally was like, you know what? I hit rock bottom for a reason. Like one day I had like a moment where I was like, oh my gosh, I hit rock bottom because my purpose that I believe God has for me is to help other women or men, whoever it may be, that went through what I went through, relationship wise, childhood wise, and how did I get out of it? So when it was God,
Wow.
I literally was like, okay, I need to get up. And little by little, day by day, I just was like, okay, I got this. And one day, I'm not perfect, but I was able to get up and put on my makeup and go work. And let me tell you, rock bottom, when I was working at clients, I promise I would go into work, train a client, go to the restroom and cry. Okay, I got this. Go back out, train the next client, go in the restroom, cry. Like, it takes a lot of mental strength to really do it, but you just got to do it. Like, there's no way you can just sit in bed every single day and cry. Because who is going to come help you and save you? Like, yeah, God can save you, but you got to put in the work. Like,
You do.
God does take the wheel, but he's not going to stir it for you left and right. He's just taking the wheel and guiding you, but it's your decision to choose which way to go, you know?
Yeah, you got to choose which way to go. You got to be the one to hit the gas pedal. You got to be the one to fill up the tank. You know, I just want everybody to recognize this right now is how on fire Irene is. Like, just speaking about these things. Like, whatever you're going through right now, if you're going through a hard season where you're feeling these things and you're like, wow, like, today was a difficult day. Yesterday was a difficult day. The day after that was a difficult day. And you feel like you're at rock bottom. And I can 100% agree with Irene on this, is the rock that's holding us up is God. Like, he is the foundation. And we tend to spiral downwards when we forget about him, when he's no longer in our heads, when he's no longer in our lives. And just the way we just fill up, the way we light up, it's because we know we can't go lower than this, because he, like, we didn't hit the floor. It's like we hit him, and he's not gonna let us go any lower. He's like, I got you. Like, it's not even us telling us it's only up from here. It's him. Is like, I'm not gonna let you go any further. Like, you have a future, you have purpose, you're gonna impact the world, and this is gonna be part of your testimony. This is gonna be part of your story. And, you know, here we go. Like, it's time to guide you, but I'm not gonna pick you up.
You're gonna have to figure it out.
And as long as we can keep him in mind, like, we will never go down. But we gotta, the longer we hold that foundation, the higher we can go, is what I've seen.
Yeah. And in order to get to that point, you also have to really break from those chains, like that trauma, the anxiety, the past, the triggers, like everything that is literally like holding you down. You got to break free from that. Like, if you don't break free from that, how will you ever fly and go do what God wants you to do? Because at the end of the day, when you think about past, you can't change the past. We all know that.
Yeah.
Whatever happened in the past is the past. Now, the future, whatever you're doing right now can change your entire future. So, right now, the present moment is one of the most important moments of your life.
Yes.
Every single day. Waking up and getting ready when you're depressed, waking up is a win.
Oh my God. Amen to that.
You're like, okay, so for me, it's 1% better every day. I've always lived on this. I forgot who, what's his name?
Ed Milet,
and also from the Atomic Habits, James Clear. 1% better every day. I finished that book and I was like, oh my God, 1% better. 1% better every single day. Like, when you're in depression, waking up is a win. Okay, you woke up. The next day, wake up and go shower. That's the next win. Okay, the next day, wake up, shower, and eat. The next day, wake up, shower, eat, get ready. The next day, wake up, shower, eat, get ready, and go do something that makes you happy. When you are depressed, you literally have to do one thing at a time. There's no way in hell you can get ready and then you're just like a brand new woman and you're like, I got this, the day's great. Like, no, you're spiraling, but 1% better, you know?
breaking those chains.
Break like everything in the past of course it's gonna hurt. Of course it's painful. Your heart is aching, whatever the situation may be. But you have to remember that the past is the past, and the only thing you can change is the future and the present moment. So,
whew, man, she's going in today, guys. The past is the past, and the only thing you can change
is your future.
And you need to focus on the present moment.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Woo.
Let go of it, y'all. Let go of the past. Let it go.
Yeah, once you
break those chains.
I seen it with so many people. I feel like a lot of people, because we've been trainers, and we've transformed people's bodies and their health, they also come to us they're like, oh, well, if you could fix this, like, here, let me throw another problem at you and see if you can help me out with this.
Yeah.
And we get asked these questions all the time, like, how do I change my mindset? How do I better my life? And, I think this is probably another reason why we're able to have such deep, conversations about this, and we understand these strategies. Like, don't look backwards at the past, because it's only going to pull you further down. It's focus on the present, focus on the future, and create your narrative of what is gonna come. And the longer you stay back there, the more anxiety, the more fear is gonna creep in, and the more we can just stay here in the present and the future. Now all of a sudden there's hope. Now there is grace. And when you add God into the mix, you remember that He has forgiven you. Like, He loves you, like, so much, so dearly, and He will always have a plan to prosper you, to give you a new life, and to show you, like, what truly matters to Him. And that's where, I think we've both just seen so much growth in terms of our purpose.
Beautifully said. You just gave me like a little click in my brain too. Another thing that I want everyone to know is that for those of like the people that are struggling financially, I know this is like a different topic. Their everyday stress and anxiety is, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to pay rent? And then their life every day is in anxiety, like working so hard, overworking, and like trying to pay the bills. All I have to say is, if God can feed the birds out there, and if God can give water to all the animals out there, you are His children. Those are just animals. What makes you think that He cannot provide for you? Put your trust in Him, and He will provide. He will never let you be hungry. He will never let you not have clothes. He will never let you be on the streets. If He can provide life for a bird, He can provide life for you. Just trust in Him. Like, that was my biggest thing, because I went through that financial stress. Everyone goes through it. I mean, a good chunk of people,
Oh, gosh.
And learning to live alone, like, that was scary. And like every day I was like, and something that I learned from, like, when I first moved into my first apartment, I was like, disastrous. Like, it was so hard. But then the second time living in my apartment, I'm like learning to embrace, like, it's okay if I don't have enough. He's gonna make sure I have food and everything. Like, and just being in that grace and peace, like, it helps me thrive, because now my mood is not in anxiety and stress, and I'm able to produce in a much better way than I was before, when I was living in that, like, oh my God, am I gonna get by? Yeah,
and I notice it's almost like, for all those watching, you want to succeed. Like, you want to attract the clients, you want to attract the money, like, you want to attract good people into your life. And unfortunately, the reality is when you're in this like negative state, when you're in this anxious state, you repel it. You push the money away. People are like, I don't know if I want to do another month with you, because you've just been
so
really like pushy
energy.
And
whatever you give out to the universe, it comes right back to you.
Exactly.
And that's why it is so important to keep your energy and your spirit high. Why do you think I'm such a bubbly person? I'm like, I mean, it's just instilled in me, but I'm like, okay, if I'm bubbly and then bubbly attracts me, like, if I'm every day, like, and don't get me wrong, I bodybuilded, by the way, and during those moments, I was broken. Like, I was really like, oh my gosh, my life is, like, holy cow. And during those times, I lost clients. I lost, like, people around me, because I was so negative. I was like like just so in like a deep dark space. I learned from it though. So, and then this past breakthrough, I learned from it. I'm like, you know what, I have to stay strong. I need to have this positive attitude every day. Positive comes to me when I give positive out.
Yes.
Yeah, so
wow,
there's that.
I know. This just episode has been full of that's gold. Like, I'm just gonna timestamp all these areas where it's like boom advice. Wow. When was the time in your life where you felt like you made all these connections in terms of like how wise you got? Like, was it connecting with a bunch of people, or was it alone, or was it a mixture of both? Like, when did you gain all this wisdom that now you use and you find it practical in your everyday life?
When I moved into my very own apartment for the first time, no roommate, all by myself, October 1st, 2023. So this was just exactly 1 month ago, because today is November 2nd, so that is exactly 1 month that I've been living alone. I struggle with codependency because of my childhood and the way that I've been attached to people and depend on people. So I'm currently working on unlearning that and becoming independent. It is crazy because I gotta do everything by myself. Laundry, cook, this, that, feed the dogs. Like, everything is in my hands. So it's amazing. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful transformation. And I'm so excited to see what this year of living alone will transform me into for my future.
Wow. No, that's amazing. And you know, I think we just hit the hour mark.
Yes.
So this has just been just full of that's gold, just banger after banger after banger. So, you know, I just want to say again, are there any last words that you want to go ahead and give the audience right now?
Yeah, so I am en route to becoming a life coach. This business of becoming a personal trainer was just a stepping stone. I don't know where exactly life will take me, but my end goal is to become a life coach because I want to be able to help others around me. I truly believe that is my calling and my purpose. So fingers crossed, we're en route to that.
Nice.
On top of that, a beautiful friend of mine, Gabriella, and I are working on another beautiful podcast. It is in pre-production right now. It is called Heal and Hustle.
Let's go.
This is for all
We're
my women. This is for all my women out there that needs healing from whatever it may be, and then learning how to hustle and become the best, most successful woman. So that is in pre-production and we are so excited.
Wow, you guys heard it here first. We're gonna have Heal and Hustle coming to all. Is it gonna be YouTube or is it gonna be on Spotify?
Everything, all the above.
Everything, all the above. Wow. Okay, so look out for that. And you know, I feel like we almost cut it short today. I feel like we could have kept going for like another hour, 2 hours. So I would love to just have you again.
Yes,
and
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Of course. Again, thank you for watching the first episode of That's Gold podcast, where our goal is to help younger individuals who lack that role model in their life, who lack mentorship, who are just searching the entire world for wisdom. And these are the people that we want to make sure we help. We want to make sure that we pour into. And because of you, not only is the world going to be a better place for you taking in this wisdom, but for you sharing it. So this podcast can't grow without you guys. Make sure to like, share, comment, and think about your best friend. Think about your family that needs to hear this. Think about, you know, the parent that might need to hear this. Think about the significant other that you have in your life that needs to hear one of those gold moments that we were able to share today, and make sure you get that over to them. And always remember, God is there.